Hello, good evening, and welcome to WMT Reviews 12 Nights of Halloween. I am Wiseman Tanofsky. Well, October is here once again, and it's time to kick off the Halloween festivities nice and early with the triumphant return of my 12 Nights of Halloween series. For those of you who were around last year, you can look forward to another batch of horror movie goodness with a lineup riddled with classic monster films, some of the scariest movies ever made, and a look at the horror franchise as it moves into modern cinema. For those of you just joining us, welcome to the Madhouse. We're kicking things off this year with our first ever installment from the Universal Monsters franchise, with Creature from the Black Lagoon. A 1950s black and white horror classic set in the mysterious depths of the Amazon rainforest, Black Lagoon boasts an eerie, unnatural atmosphere, fantastic underwater cinematography, and a monster design that would live in history. So, let's get this year's festivities started. This is the WMT review of The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So, what's the story? A geology expedition to the deep Amazonian rainforest led by Dr. Carl Meyer, played by Antonio Marino, discovers the fossilized remains of an unknown creature. Returning to further the study with more assistance, they discover their camp was raided by an unknown assailant, and upon further investigation of the area, discover a strange aquatic humanoid creature dwelling in the waters of the Black Lagoon. Dr. David Reed, played by Richard Carlson, and Dr. Mark Williams, played by Richard Denning, manage to entrap the Gill-Man, but the creature escapes and traps their boat within the lagoon, returning to abduct Reed's fiancée Kay, played by Julie Adams. After an intense underwater pursuit, Reed and the survivors rescue Kay and wound the creature, causing it to slip back into the murky waters as they make their escape. Now, last year when I reviewed Nosferatu, I said that black and white films really don't get the respect they deserve from a modern audience, and this film is no exception. The colourless scenes create an eerie and otherworldly atmosphere which serve the film's subplots to no end. Yeah, you have to adapt to the 50s acting style and the rushed and hurried way most of the dialogue is delivered, but this is more than just another monster movie. Over the course of the film, the monstrous title character develops a frustrated obsession with the female lead Julie Adams, watching her from beneath the waters, and though the creature doesn't speak a single line of dialogue, its thoughts and feelings are captured and expressed purely through the physical performance. This was just one of many subplots in play during this film, including the very heavy theme of the unknown, the unexplored, making the Amazonian rainforest the perfect setting for the telling of this tale. It's likened to being another planet. There are references in there about the days when man will travel the stars and have a whole other universe to explore. The romance between Reed and Kay, the obsession of the Gill-Man and of Dr. Williams to capture the creature, or at least the evidence to prove its existence. There are so many themes and messages in this film that it blows the preconception of the run-of-the-mill monster movie out of the water. So let's have a look at the cast. Richard Carlson is a fantastic lead as Dr. David Reed, creating the character of a man fascinated but horrified by the discoveries they make. You can feel his eagerness to learn the mysteries of the lagoon, wrestling with his conscience that lives are being lost in the process, and he becomes the level-headed leader of the group, putting the safety of those around him before capturing the creature. This, of course, brings him to head with the film's sort of villain but not really Mark Williams. Richard Denning plays this single-minded financier very well indeed. As I say, he's not really guilty of anything other than knowing the way the world works. People won't just believe a swamp creature in the Amazon. There has to be some sort of proof to take back, and he will do anything to get it. He plays very well off Carlson's Reed, and the two of them share many intense argument sequences as they struggle for the moral high ground. Then, of course, you have the gorgeous Julie Adams as Kay. Ah, for the better days when the female lead did more than just scream and cry. Though she has got a good pair of lungs on her too. I think there's an element of pity to Julie's character. As with all good Beauty and the Beast stories, there has to be this feeling of sorrow for the lonely creature forced to live out its days in total isolation. But of course she can't go with it, and truth be told she doesn't want to. The scene where the creature comes for her is very intense and frightening. The thought of being dragged underwater by an obsessed beast really plays to the strengths of the story. After all, Anne Darrow's experience would have been terrifying, but at least Kong didn't live underwater. The rest of the cast are great fun to watch. I especially enjoy the salty boat captain, Lucas. The scene where he puts Williams in his place is probably one of my favourites in the film. But, of course, the star of the film is the Gill-Man himself, or rather, themselves. Filmed using 2 actors and 2 costumes, the on-land creature was played by Ben Chapman, while its underwater counterpart was played by Olympic swimmer Ricou Browning. The thing I found most fascinating about these performances is how much the characters seem to live and breathe the costume, which can't have been the most forgiving costume in cinema history. In the underwater scenes especially, Browning creates a completely alien way of moving, employing his whole body and all four of his limbs so perfectly that you believe this creature has spent most of its days gliding through the water. It looks and feels so natural to the creature, not at all like an actor flailing in a tight rubber costume, but as a living, breathing creation of nature, simply cascading in its natural habitat. A genuinely brilliant physical performance from both actors. Aside, of course, from the wonder of the Gill-Man suit and the actors, the film has got some of the greatest underwater cinematography of its time. And once again, the black and white format really lends itself to creating this dark and mysterious underwater realm. The use of lighting, the lack thereof in some circumstances, really do build an otherworldly atmosphere which is absolutely fascinating to look upon. It would make any viewer desperate to slap on an oxygen mask and go diving. Well, at least before the monster pops up. I think my only problem with the film was the music in some areas. It did so well to build the suspense with loud bursts to signify the presence of the creature's claw in the early acts of the film, but the finale was so loud it came dangerously close to distracting from the visuals. I had to turn it down a touch to fully appreciate what was happening. Bit of a minor complaint, but it did bug me. 21 years before Jaws scared audiences out of the water, the creature from the Black Lagoon got there first. This may just be my favourite adaptation of a Beauty and the Beast story. The swimming scene between Julie Adams and the monster remains to be one of the most obscurely romantic and deeply unnerving scenes in cinema history, as Adams glides through the water and the creature mirrors her below. As such, I would award the film a strong 8 on the Orsometer. No fan of the monster movie genre should go without seeing this. It's got a great cast, great photography, great atmosphere, and a monster that's truly terrifying, while also being rather tragic in the process. So that's an 8 on the Orsometer for Creature from the Black Lagoon. I've been Wiseman Tanofsky. This has been WMT Reviews 12 Nights of Halloween. Thank you very much for listening.